The Eid vacations that have just ended show us how eager people are to return to normality. In some beaches on the north coast, the crowds were so big to an extent that some were not visible from the amounts of umbrellas all around the place. What does this tell us? Aside from the need to observe precautionary measures in the face of the pandemic, it may also signal an economic growth that is not expected. Just as we saw the return numbers on major IT companies in the past few days, expectations were far below the real returns that were seen from the balance sheets returned. Some sectors are rebounding, but what's more imperative is sustaining and growing the contributors of growth. The tourism industry is one example that has always been affected by surprises, by turmoil, by incidents. In countries like ours, this is a sensitive sector since it affects the livelihood of the majority of the population. Good evening. You're watching the Business Insider. I'm Ayman Salah. We'll be back. Welcome back. Let's start with some news. The first news item we have is that the EBRD, the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, is providing the October Dry Port Company, known as the ODP, with a $29.6 million loan to finance part of the development of the 6th of October Dry Port, or DP6. The project will cost a total of $60 million. This will be the first private-public partnership in the dry port sector and will be constructed on the outskirts of the city under the Build, Operate, Transfer, or BOT structure. ODP is a joint venture firm established as a special purpose vehicle in Egypt to implement the DP6 project. This will also be the first investment in the 6th of October city under the EBRD Green Cities Framework 2, Window 2, and will initiate the development of a Green City Action Plan for the 6th of October. The second news item is that the long-awaited Water Resources Act was finally approved by the House of Representatives in the final session of the parliamentary cycle. The new law aims to regulate how the country utilizes its water resources, especially in light of threats from Ethiopia's dam and climate change. The law stipulates fees for licenses to set up pumping stations on the Nile and irrigation canals, as well as underground wells. It also addresses the reduction of the use of some of the nation's canals for agriculture and reducing water waste. When we come back, tourism and sustainability. Stay with the Business Insider. Welcome back. You're watching the Business Insider. Tonight we're discussing tourism and the sustainability of this industry. If we can't call it an industry, this is what we will be discussing with our guest tonight, Mr. Tarek Sarhan, a tourism expert. Pleasure having you on the show with us here tonight. Let's watch this report and then start our discussion. We'll be back.
Tourism has for long been a major pillar in the Egyptian economy, contributing around 12% to GDP, while securing around 19.3% of the country's foreign exchange and employing in the vicinity of 13% of the total workforce. Anticipation is building for a full recovery of the sector, and the government expects tourism to bring in between $6 to $9 billion this year as the global vaccine rollout helps to normalize international travel and visitors return to Egypt. Around 3.5 million tourists visited the country during the first 6 months of the year, which is almost the same amount of people who visited Egypt in the whole of last year. However, the industry is in dire need of support. There are recovery programs being launched, either governmental or private. The latter is contributing by initiatives to empower businesses in the industry to adapt to the pandemic's challenges, improve tourism companies' ability to innovate, maintain jobs, and strengthen international collaboration between businesses around the world and Egypt. In the wake of the pandemic, the tourism sector in Egypt lost upwards of $7.7 billion in 2020. Being a major employer in the Egyptian economy, every 10th Egyptian depends directly on a thriving travel economy, with countless more people benefiting from it. Therefore, the programs being offered will encourage businesses in the sector to gain access to dedicated mentoring, training, and direct financial support. They are designed to support innovative tourism businesses on the path to economic recovery. The future of tourism depends on resilient tourism businesses offering sustainable products and services, particularly in emerging economies. With the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals at its core, the tourism recovery programs build capacity around leadership, resilience, sustainability, innovation, and digital transformation. Additionally, the aim is to create a flourishing international network of tourism businesses and expand collaborations, thus building on the creation of added value and sustainability.
Welcome back. Tourism and sustainability. Tourism industry. This is what we're discussing here tonight with my dear guest, Mr. Tarek Sarhan, tourism expert. A pleasure having you on the show here tonight. After what we've seen in the past Eid vacation on the different beaches, it seems like people are hungry to return to normalcy.
Yes, it was very crowded.
Very crowded.
Yes.
How is the sector coping? Is it now relying on local tourism, or is international tourism regaining ground?
International tourism now, they started to come back again. This is the good news now. Let me tell you, from October or mid-September till end of April, the American tourism is coming back. And this is very important.
The American tourism?
Yes. And when the Americans are in a place, everyone will follow them. This is to tell the truth, right? And we heard that the news that the Russian tourism is back again to Egypt, right?
Still not yet. They're saying...
We are 1 week.
1 week to go. Hopefully this time it will be 1 week.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
The problem for the Russian tourism is, I believe, and this is my opinion, it's a political, not because of the quality of tourism here, no. It's a political issue, same like the British tourism. It's a political issue. Let me give you an example that the British ambassador, he used to visit Al Hussein area, the bazaar area, which is very crowded, and he used to sit on the coffee, take his food or his drinks, and then next day he was alone in his car, and then next day he would say Egypt is not safe. How come? You were there yesterday. This is very strange.
All right. Aside from politics,
Yes.
because economy and politics are two sides of the same coin, basically. So when we're talking about one, we have to keep in mind the other. Are we now on track to a return to normalcy in the tourism sector, or are we still a long way away from making such a statement?
Not long, not long, because people started to come back, and according to the media, what we hear in the media every day now, the COVID-19 numbers here are decreasing day after day, which means that Egypt is very safe for anyone. Meanwhile, other countries around us, in the let me take an example, the Mediterranean, Turkey, Tunisia, Lebanon, still they have big numbers of infected people in COVID-19, but here the numbers are decreasing day after day. And we saw, this is eyewitness for me at least, the shores and the north coast last week was very crowded.
Right.
It means, it gives an impression that the country is safe now. People, when they see this in the media, they will be encouraged to come, right? They already started to come. I was in the Namek Museum, the Civilization Museum yesterday. No place to put your feet.
Really?
Yes.
I was planning to go this weekend.
Let me take you, I'm a tour guide. Spanish people, the people from Spain, they started to come. Other nationalities also, I saw Americans. They are coming, although the weather is not very suitable for them. They prefer to come from October. But I saw Americans already in the museum. I saw plenty of Egyptians. This is the impact of the media when they saw the Royal Mummy Parade.
Right.
Everyone now wants to go there. The very big number, even they didn't visit the Cairo Museum. Now most of the people, they prefer to go to the Civilization Museum, which is very
Media
good.
plays a huge role.
Of course, 100%.
And the organization and the execution of the parade was breathtaking.
Nothing better than this, except for the gem opening will be much better than this.
Expectations are very high.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So, how would you say the tourism sector affects the economy, and should we just be calling it a sector, or is it an industry? And if so, what needs to be done to revive this industry?
How affects? Let me give you an example from what they call 2011 events, right? At the time, the income coming from tourism, 15 billion US dollars. And we took like 7 years, nearly stop. There is no tourism in Egypt at the time. Then we lost 1 trillion. 1 trillion, which is in Egyptian currency, will be 18 trillion Egyptian pounds. Do you think, do you agree with me that this number can repair many things in our country?
No, but you're calculating 1 trillion without...
Maybe I made a mistake.
Yeah. The calculation is not only what you've lost from the tourism industry, but what you've also lost from the other industries that work hand in hand with the tourism industry, because it opens up a lot of work opportunities for other sectors.
Of course, because they always say that tourism is related to and connected with another 70 industries.
Right.
Transportation, for example, food supplies, amenities for the hotels, whatever you imagine. 70, everything. Yes, of course, everyone was affected. And now we started to come back. We started to come back since the Minister of Tourism and Antiquity, he exploited the chance. If I say the word, he exploited the chance. The whole world now was sleeping, waiting for the end of this pandemic, and he made this Royal Mummy Parade. The whole world was watching Egypt. It created awareness to the people, worldwide. Everyone wants to go to visit Egypt from this winter, right? We heard now that in Hurghada, nearly 100% occupancy, from 50% allowed. Of course, not the hotels.
So it's 100% of the 50%.
Yes,
right.
Which is very good. And now they are talking in the parliament to increase. They are asking the parliament
75.
To 75. Yes, exactly. Because now we have more demand out to visit Hurghada, to visit the new paradise in Marsa Alam also. And
Marsa Alam on the southeast part of Egypt on the Red Sea, right.
And good news to tell you that the Polish tourism, as a Polish tour guide, they started now to send their people to Marsa Alam 10 flights a week. This is a very big number because they stopped for a while, like 3-4 years, even before COVID-19, and now they came back again to Marsa Alam.
10 flights a week, you're talking how many people per flight? 250?
200 per each, yes. Like 2,000 people a week.
2,000 people a week, which is good.
Number because they stopped and now they came back, right? And they came back not to Hurghada.
But when you calculate the numbers, you don't just calculate the number of tourists coming, but the number of expenditure capacity, if you will. Because we used to sell our destination at very modest prices, at very modest packages.
Unfortunately, yes. But
Right.
we need to concentrate on quality, not quantity.
Exactly, because the quality contributes more to your economy.
Yes.
Is my understanding correct?
Of course, yes, correct. And we need, before to import any people to come, to ask anyone to come to Egypt, we need first to make market research. Which markets we want to penetrate. We need to study this society. For example, if Russia, if Poland, if China, if whatever, the way they spend their money, what they do prefer when they come to Egypt, how we reach those people through the media, through advertise, through marketing campaigns. We need to make more market research about this before we start to ask the people to come. We need to make the savings of those people, their food culture, right? For example, the Arab tourism, when they come to Egypt, they have another food culture when they visit Egypt, right? Unlike the Europeans, for example, the biggest numbers coming to Egypt, 8 million from Europe and 3 million from the Arabs, right? They are the biggest numbers. And the rest of 15 million, according to 2011, that was the biggest number, reached 11 people from the Arabs, 11 million people from the Arabs and from the Europeans. The other 3 or 4 million coming from different places in the world. Another example, in China, they sent 100 million people outside the
abroad, yes.
Yes, and what is our share? Less than 500,000. Then if we became able to make the visa, for example, easier for them. China is a huge nation, it's a huge country. It is not believed now, in that time everybody is using the internet to make the people come to the embassy to take the visa physically. Then we need to make it through the internet and make it connected with a hotel booking. Because some in Russia, for example, they come to Egypt, but they bought their flats. They have houses in Hurghada and Sharm el-Sheikh, right? And I'm supporting these charter flights, right? We are supporting those who are coming to encourage our economy, but I'm not supposed to encourage those people who are having their flats and they sell it for their friends on the internet, and those people come encouraged by the government and we give them money.
So we need to understand basically how the market is operating.
Exactly.
Therefore you need research.
Yes. First
there was a campaign in one of the countries, but this country had different time zones. And the money spent on the campaign was for a certain area. The area, it was pinpointed, but you neglected the other part of, or the other parts in the country. So what you're saying is the market research is vital and is very important. IT infrastructure is on its way. It's being developed tremendously nowadays. You have broad infrastructure that is being developed. You have new cities that are being developed. You have transportation networks that are being developed. How is this all syncing with the different industries that are major contributors to the GDP, especially the tourism sector?
If we succeeded to tell the people outside that we have now a better quality roads, we have new paradise like the new Alamein city, it's a new paradise, and this city especially will be more than enough to change the whole map of tourism all over the world, because it's very near to Europe, like 1 hour by plane, right? Instead of going to Hurghada in summer, little bit hot.
You can come by yacht.
Exactly. And then in 1 hour by plane, it means that you are saving, you are not paying that much in the air ticket. Air ticket from the quotation takes like 30 to 40% from the quotation, from the whole quotation. If he will pay like $1,000, 400 or 300 US dollar for the plane itself, the charter flights.
So you need to have it Egyptian charter flights.
Exactly. This is number one. And
But this is very costly.
I tell you something. In 1 week, the Egyptians were able to collect 64 million Egyptian pounds for the second Suez Canal.
Billion.
Yes, billion.
Not million. Billion.
Yes.
At the time, this was you can convert this figure, it would give you 8 billion US dollars.
Exactly.
In 1 week.
Why not repeating this?
Isn't it a different story?
No. You just announced that we are going to establish a new company for the charter flights, right? And it will be the specialty to transfer people and to take the exports from the vegetables now. We are exporting now vegetables and oranges to Europe. Because the first sector always from the flight will go empty from Cairo, for example, to Italy, right? Why not having these oranges inside the plane and on the way back?
Export products
Yes.
and commodities. That's an idea.
Why not?
It's an idea.
And we need to talk about, now we are having the new electric train, which will take you from Alexandria to Aswan within 4 hours. Within 4 hours, which will make the people easy now to visit Aswan, and in one day they will come back, right? You're spending money, instead of sitting one night at the train, at the sleeper's train, you will visit Aswan, and by the end of the visit you can come back to Cairo, right? Now we have many airports open, like Sphinx Airport near the Jam, the Grand Egyptian Museum, and the whole area now is changing, under development, right? Instead of taking the people from Cairo Airport, spending 1 hour in the traffic from Cairo Airport to the Grand Egyptian Museum or the pyramids, Sphinx Airport like 15 minutes only, and you will be at the museum, and then you can visit the pyramid. One day visit, is that possible at any other place around us? No. The answer clearly no. For example, New Alamein City, in Europe, Saturday and Sunday are off. What if we send our planes Friday afternoon to take the people to Alamein City? They will spend the night in Alamein City. Then here we are making profit from one night, sleeping at the hotel, right? Second day, leisure tourism. They will stay in the one of the finest shores all over the world. Third day, they can visit Alexandria, or 2 hours to Cairo to visit the Grand Egyptian Museum. Is there anywhere else in the world to give a vacation like this, a product like this, leisure tourism and culture tourism as well? There is no place to can give this product, right?
How can we ensure the sustainability of this sector? Egypt has sustainable development goals, and tourism plays a major part in the country's economic sustainability. Yet, every time there is a development, there's an incident, there is instability, there is whatever that affects the tourism industry, it's as if it's the first time we are addressing such an issue. It's the first time we're exposed to such a surprise, if you will. While every single time it's the same old story, and the difficulties that are faced by those working in the tourism industry, they're the same. The government has to support them in terms of paying the staff, in terms of the electricity, in terms of the employment taxes, blah, 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 blah. How can we make sure that this sector is sustainable?
To sit together. Like, for example, not only we rely on the Minister of Tourism on his vision. No, we need to the banks, because people are coming to, they pay money. So we need to make the bank transactions easier for the people who wants to come to Egypt. Visa payment, the ATM machines everywhere. Transportation, how can we make the moving between point A to point B easier? No need to all the time to get one limousine car, which is expensive. Make it by transportation, right?
I'm talking more about in times of crisis, there is a clear path that I follow, so there are no more surprises when it comes to this sector. So it's as if I have a manual that I'm following.
Exactly.
In times of crisis, this is the manual I'm following.
Exactly.
Who's supposed to be doing this?
The government and everyone concerned in this industry, not only the government. Because people who are the private business, the private sector, they should...
The main stakeholder, in my point of view, would be those working in the sector. They need to push for this.
everyone should be there sitting together.
On the table.
Yes, because the hotels, they have their needs. For example, now we have the value-added tax, right? We are selling now plus 14%. This is the VAT, right? Meanwhile, outside the booking sites on the internet, they are selling less than the 14%. It means that if you are not
Competitive, you need to be more
will
competitive.
be out of market.
Are you satisfied with the diversification of markets?
Yes, sure.
Do we need to be more diversified in attracting tourists from different parts of the world?
Exactly, yes. Exactly, yes, of course. The Americans now, let's concentrate on other new markets for Latin America, for example, making double programs. For example, they will cross the Atlantic, right? They will stay for Morocco. Why not making programs with Morocco?
Or with Spain? Because
Spain,
they
for
go
example,
to Spain all the time.
And people are coming from east. They will stay in Dubai or stay in Turkey and then come, or Greece, for example. They will sit here for 2-3 days and then another 2-3 days.
But you see setting up a charter company as one of the main priorities.
Yes, 100%.
Mr. Tarek Sarhan, a tourism expert, thank you very much for being with us
Pleasure.
on the show here tonight.
Thank you
Very much for joining us, and see you same time next week. I'm Ayman Salah. Good night.